people down, the guy with the flag in his hat is Georgia Cohen, the father of Broadway. What's that? Well, what's the heading? Oh, yeah, that's because this is Robert Mantel here. See how this is right here. Yeah, that was very nice. That was very nice.
Is that a monument?
No. Where are you looking at?
The one in the red.
Okay, no, actually, there are a few contemporary people, and that's Mary Wolfe.
Oh.
Mary Wolfe, well, she passed away sometime in the last year or so, but she was big in the arts all over the state of Ohio. And she and the lady marketing office was Susan Williams. The two of them were the big force behind getting the painting done. This was painted by a local artist, and they the pillars. But oh no, not Paul. He decided to use 68 feet and some odd inches, and therefore he managed to turn a 2-year project into a 5-year project. And finally, they insisted that he bring it over and put it up because it had been going on so long. And actually, it never was finished. If you happen to run into Paul, mention that we still know that. But there are some obvious things, like the faces of the cards are not filled in.
Oh, yeah.
But look at this wine glass.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's floating.
It's stemless. I'm sure if you go down to the Libby glass and find a wine glass without a stem. I think you can do that now, but it wouldn't be floating. And there's some other things, like actually, look at Mary Wolfe there in the pink. Her clothing is not nearly as finished off as the others.
The ballerina.
And one would. That is Anna Pavlova, who's
She did
very
the dying
famous.
swan?
Yeah, the dying swan
That
thing.
was so beautiful.
But you do notice Paul Geiger did paint himself in here as the court gesture, and the monkey is on his back, and the monkey was this job. But he did finish it, except for his hand, he didn't finish all of his clothes.
So he painted this in peace.
No, in one, he has a warehouse down by the river, like a LaGrange and.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he's got a big old warehouse there, but it, would go around corners and stuff like that, so you didn't really see it all up together until he got it here in 08.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
I assume all these people performed here at one time or another?
Yes, they performed here during the historic period. The building was built in 1895. This is a legitimate theater, actually until 1917. But some of these, in 1917, the operation was sold to Lowe's, which was a vaudeville circuit at the time. And of course, Lowe's became an important movie house owner. They joined up with MGM like in 1923 or something, and showed all the MGM movies. So when you think back on it, that being the MGM, the local MGM theater, this is where films like Gone with the Wind premiered. And actually it was in 1940, just after the premieres in 39 in Atlanta and New York and Los Angeles. Those were in December of 39. And then we think it premiered here on January 17th. Also in 39, this would have been where Judy Garland.
Wizard of Oz.
Wizard of Oz. Oh, I'm off to a bad start if I can't think of that. and all those kinds of things. Okay. They operated this as a movie house right up until the very early 60s, like 60 or 61. It was the Lowe's Valentine for years and years and years. In 1942, they did a major refitting of the interior of the Valentine. They gutted almost all of the Victorian detail from 1895 and redid it in a Chinese modern decor, which if you're my age, you might remember that reincarnation. Okay? So anyway, this is the back wall of the original theater, the side wall of the auditorium itself. It stopped showing movies in about 1977, and then the building itself closed in 1982. It had come to be owned by the city, and many city offices were in the building, not in the theater, but in the building. 1982 is the year that Edison closed the steam plant, and this was one of the buildings that got its heat from that. And that's what happened to many of the buildings downtown that have been torn down since then. That's also the year that Government Center opened and the city offices moved out. So it was really shaky for a few years. People wanted to tear it down and make parking, of course, for the Seagate projects and those kinds of things. But we managed to save it, and it took nearly 20 years to rehab the place and reopen. This room, the reason why we have this room is that all of these stacks, which good, I can hear, we'll have some air. All these stacks act as an air exchanger between this room and the auditorium itself. And that's in order that we don't have the sound of the HC or AC, HV or AC in the theater to mess up the acoustics. Okay? I have a book I put on one of these tables. There's so many people I can't see. Here it is. Thanks. Okay. It is it.
Have you introduced yourself?
No, I haven't.
This is Dan Everett.
All right.
He's going to tell us everything we wanted to know about the Valentine and more.
Yeah,
There
you
will
got
be
a
no
couple hours.
tests afterwards.
Oh, yes, there will be. Okay, does anybody have any questions about anybody else in the mural? If you want to run up here, there are little biographies all along the bottom there, and that sort of thing.
Was this done in sections and brought down?
No, it was one long canvas,
Where did
and he
it
did
start?
it in acrylic. Paul Geiger has a studio. Has his studio in an old industrial building along the river, north
Where
of
did he
Cherry
start?
Street.
Did he start down there?
Oh, I have no
You don't
idea.
know?
No. I have.
Then he started in the middle.
I think he was working on different pieces of it.
Did you say his name?
Did he do
Paul
all
Geiger.
Paul Geiger.
Yes, he's a local boy, and yeah, his dad, I guess, was a doctor. If that name.
He has a lot of pieces around town.
Right,
besides this.
right. Well, that's kind of an interesting thing because, what's her name? Sarah Jane something. She was involved with Calphalon. Her husband developed Calphalon, and he passed away. And she and Mary Wolfe and Susan Breens and a bunch of other people were instrumental in seeing this project through. But she had moved down to Columbus and married some other guy, and saw one of Paul Geiger's murals, which was nearly this big, in a catering facility. So it was her that called back to her old buddies and said, "Check this guy out. He's from Toledo." And, that's kind of how he got the project.
When was it completed?
Well, it still isn't completed.
When was it installed?
It was hung in '08.
Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know if you were here at the time, but they were expecting him to do a fairly large mural, but within the confines of those two pillars and things. But oh no, Paul had to do one that was 68 feet plus a few inches and fill up the entire wall.
Put in there.
Evidently,
You wanna
but
leave
the
anyone out?
contract said 2 years and it took 5, and it's still not finished. Okay. Any other questions about?
I have a question about the name, Valentine. Was that always in the name? or
Yes,
when it was
Valentine
changed?
comes from Valentine Ketchum. He was Toledo's first millionaire. He came in 1835, married a Burdan, the mayor's daughter, and went into business with the Burdans and did very well. Became a millionaire in the 1860s during the Civil War. The Mississippi trade systems, of course, were shut down during the Civil War, and that jump-started commerce on the Great Lakes and things with the canals and all that kind of stuff, the burgeoning railroads. And then he was a millionaire several times over. He died in 1887 or 88, something like that, and he left his wife and each of his children $1 million, which of course was big money then, you know. And his son, one of his sons, built the building and named it after his father. Okay.
Nice.
All ready? Let's go this way. Watch out for the. We're having a wedding. Watch out for some of the tables.
What are you doing?